Hello and welcome. I'm Ashley and today we're going to be going through all of my bronzers. Look at that. Oh, don't fall down. Today I'm going to be doing the bronzer tag. I saw Samantha March do this on her channel and I was like, oh my gosh, yes. Let's talk about bronzers. I mean, honestly, the only difference between me and Casper the Friendly Ghost is my Saint-Tropez mousse and my bronzer collection. But the flip side of that is bronzers definitely have to be the right formula, the right tone, or you can end up looking quite tragic. So we're gonna go through this tag. I'm so excited. Before we get into it, make sure that you're subscribed. It really makes me very happy, you guys. I'm not kidding. When I get a new subscriber, I tell my husband, I'm like, oh my God, I got another subscriber. I'm so happy. Look at my little YouTube family. It's not creepy, I'm just a Cancer, I'm very sentimental, and I love each and every one of you. All right, first up, your newest bronzer. My newest bronzer is this bronzer duo in Luster from, if I can get it open, Mineral Fusion. I actually haven't even tried this yet. It is very brand new. I just recently found this brand through another YouTuber and I got a blush from Mineral Fusion and then I saw that they had a bronzer and I was like, oh, well, you know what? I really liked the blush. Let's try the bronzer. So again, haven't tried it yet, but it does look very nice and it's a nice little duo. It looks like one side has a little bit of a luster to it and the other side is quite matte. So it's kind of like a swirl together or use one or the other kind of deal. I really like having options, so excited to try that. Next up, your oldest bronzer. My oldest bronzer is in this Ziploc bag because it is broken and I didn't want it to get bronzing powder everywhere. It is the Rimmel London Natural Bronzer in the shade Sun Bronze. I really like Rimmel powders. I remember back in the day, like where I'm from, there is no Sephora or Ulta. So in high school, all we had was drugstore makeup. And I used to really love the Rimmel Stay Matte powder in the summer. I just found like it would keep me from looking sweaty. So I used to love that powder. And I really like Rimmel's powder. So I've had this for a really long time and it is so broken and a lot of bad things going on in there. But for whatever reason, I have not thrown it away. So that is my oldest bronzer. The most expensive bronzer in my collection is this Real Bronze from Chantecaille. This is in the shade Sirena. I really like this bronzer a lot. Fun fact, there's like these little dimples on the cover of this, on the lid of this bronzer, and I originally wasn't sure if maybe mine got dented or damaged, but it turns out no, it's supposed to be like this. Shout out to Teresa's dad for letting me know that because I thought, well, maybe mine just got dented. No, that is the way it was designed. I love the pattern in this. It's a luxury bronzer, so this is $78, definitely the most expensive bronzer I have. Across the board, I think this is the most expensive, not just for like the size of it or anything. It's just expensive, but it is really nice. The formula is so creamy. It's like a gel powder formula, supposedly. And I find that it's just like the smoothest. Oh my gosh. It's so smooth. It's honestly like butter. I absolutely love it. And the tone is really good for me. It works for me in the fall and the winter when I'm maybe not self-tanning as much, but it also worked for me in the summer. So I just got this past summer and I've really liked it. So that's the most expensive bronzer I own. Most affordable bronzer. So my most affordable bronzer is this, oh my gosh, Milani. This is Silky Matte Bronzing Powder in the shade Sunkissed. I picked this bronzer up this summer. I was looking for a dupe for the Fenty Into Sun bronzer. This is actually pretty close in the shade and the tone. I really, really like this. I like it because it's not too warm, but it's also not too cool. It definitely has like that gray undertone that you like out of a contour, but it's not so grayish that I can't use it as like a bronzer to warm my face up. So I really, really like this bronzer and it is the most affordable one in my collection. I'm almost positive. Yes, it's definitely the most affordable. All right, so next up is everyday bronzer. Now, if you would have asked me in the summer, this would have been a completely different answer. For the past 2 weeks, my like go-to everyday bronzer has been a very old favorite of mine. And it is this little guy from Chanel. This is the Chanel Soleil Tan de Chanel. Oh my God, how much I love this bronzer. Now, I have some sad news. They reformulated this. I don't know why they did it, but they did. So they reformulated, and the old formulation is so hard to find, but I got really lucky at the beginning of this year. I think back in February, one of my friends went to Israel and we knew that they were reformulating, and she picked up like 5 of these. So I have this one and then I have one other one as a backup. I just now opened this one like 2 weeks ago. So I have like a new fresh one, and hopefully it's going to get me through until they come to their senses and bring this formula back. This is like a cult classic bronzer. It is so good. The finish is so natural. It's just a really great cream bronzer. I absolutely love it. Like if you're around my skin tone, this shade is just so beautiful. Like I said, they reformulated it. I tried the reformulation. It was okay, but it's definitely not as good as this original formula. So that's a little bit sad, but this is definitely what I've been reaching for every day lately. So love this. And I do have it on today, and I feel like I just look very natural and, you know, as bronzed as someone as pale as me can look. Bronzer that surprised you. All right, I'm gonna be honest. This Gucci bronzer really surprised me. This is, I'm not even gonna try to say this, Eclat Soleil bronzing powder. I have the number 2 shade. Number 1, this imprint is beautiful. I absolutely love that they imprint it so nicely. And I love that when you lift it up, there's normally like a little powder brush in there, but I gave it to my baby because she really liked it and I want her to be happy. So the packaging is gorgeous, but that's not what surprised me. What surprised me is that I actually really like this bronzer. It's really nice formula. It looks really nice on me. I like the shade. I like the tone. It's very definitely like a warm you up kind of bronzer. There's a little bit of a fragrance. It doesn't bother me too much. It's not too overpowering or anything, and it dissipates quite quickly. But I'm going to be honest. I thought this was definitely going to be overpriced crap. Is it overpriced? Probably. Probably is overpriced, but it's not crap. It's actually a really nice bronzer, and again, I don't know why I was surprised by that. Again, it's like, why would you buy something you're expecting to not be good? I don't know. The packaging just got me, so I bought it. Turns out it's pretty nice. Best memory. I had to think about this, but then I decided my best memory of a bronzer would probably be this Kevyn Aucoin contour book. It has like a neo bronzer in it right here, and then you also have 3 like contour shades. I love this neo bronzer for like draping, but the reason why this has the best memory for me is I used this palette like religiously when I was pregnant with my daughter. This was often like the only makeup I would use. I would just put on like a tinted moisturizer, and then I would use the neo bronzer to drape some blush, put a little bit of my eyelids, and that was my makeup because I was very miserable when I was pregnant. It's a lot of weight to carry around. My back hurt. I had heartburn the whole time, and my daughter's foot was constantly stuck in my rib. If you've had a baby, you've probably been there before. You know what it's like. So I didn't wear a lot of makeup when I was pregnant, but this is what I did reach for a lot, and I really liked it. It's actually a nice face palette. There's also 2 highlighters in there. So I really love this. And I would say, like, you know, as far as a good memory of makeup could go, this would probably be my best one. All right, next up, worth the hype, I would have to say the Fenty Cream Bronzers. This is Cheeks Out in number 3. Macchiato is the shade I use. This is a really good shade that, again, you can use kind of for contouring / bronzing if you're going to kind of combine those 2 steps, which I often do. This is a really good shade for that if you're around my skin tone. I absolutely love this formula. It blends out really well. It looks very natural when you blend it really nicely. And, you know, I wasn't sure because this was one of like I can't remember if the blushes came out first or if this came out first or they came out at the same time. I just know that when I went to purchase this, I was like, are Fenty creams going to be good or not good? Who knows? Everyone was like, yes, these are amazing. And I would agree. They are really good. The price point is really good. Honestly, when you're talking about like a luxury brand or, you know, maybe not luxury, but higher end brand that's carried at Sephora, the price point I think is a good price point, and it's a really good formula. So I really liked this, and I do think it is worth the hype. Not worth the hype. Okay, here's where I'm gonna get in trouble with you guys because I know so many of y'all love this thing, and I'm not saying I don't like it. I do like it. I'm just saying so many people told me this bronzer was going to change my life, And here I am. My life is not changed. It is the Milk Makeup Baked Bronzer. I'm sorry. It's a good bronzer. Don't get me wrong. It's a good bronzer. I think it's very hyped up. I mean, it's just a cream bronzer stick. It's not anything like, I mean, it's no better than the Fenty. It's certainly not better than my Chanel cream bronzer. It's just, yeah, it's a nice cream bronzer. I'm sorry. I think it's good. It's good. If you have been thinking about picking up and you want to get it, it's a good bronzer. It's just, it's not the best thing since sliced bread. Sorry, unpopular opinion, I know. Let's move on to the next before you unsubscribe from my channel. My fave from a favorite brand. Well, we all know how much I love Charlotte Tilbury, so obviously I have to pick one from her as my favorite from a favorite brand. So my favorite bronzer from one of my favorite brands, Charlotte Tilbury, is the Airbrush bronzer. I wear the shade 2 medium. This bronzer is so good, and it really does like blur out your pores, very similar to her Airbrush Flawless Finish powder, and this shade number 2 medium is really good for my skin tone. So yeah, this would be my favorite for my favorite brand. Also, how awesome is it that this mirror is like, I mean, this is a huge mirror. You can almost do like your whole face in this thing. I absolutely love this bronzer. Most underrated. I had to think about this for a while, and I would say that I think that this bronzer back a few years ago was hyped and people talked about it, but I haven't heard about it in a long time, and I think it still holds up. So for most underrated, I am gonna say the Bahama Mama bronzer from the Balm. Look how tiny this one is. This is also the smallest bronzer that I own. It's just so little. I think it's like a travel size one. I love this bronzer. It's such a good formula. This shade is really good for me. I absolutely love it. It works in the summer for me as well as in the winter. And it's a nice, like, it's a very nice creamy formula. It's very beautiful. It doesn't get patchy on you. It's just nice. So I really like this. I don't know why we don't talk about it anymore. I really loved the Balm for so long. I loved the Mary Luminizer. I feel like we just haven't talked about the Balm a lot lately. So I just want to share some love for Bahama Mama because it's a really nice bronzer. All right, so the last question on the bronzer tag is bronzer I've kept even though the shade doesn't work. And for me, that would be this Oma Double Take Sculpt and Strobe Duo Stick in Fair Lady. And it's too dark for me. It's too dark and it's too red. You can see it's just, this shade doesn't work for me. Even if I go in like very lightly with it, this doesn't work as a bronzer or a contour. I know it's meant to be a contour. It just doesn't work. The shade isn't right. I think I thought that this would work for me because, for example, this is the Charlotte Tilbury contour wand, and you can see on the bottom, it's just as dark as this one, the one from Oma, but there's something about the tone that just, it blends out enough on my skin that it blends into it and gives me a really nice natural contour. The one from Oma, it blends, but it still stays just as deep, and it also dries down really fast. So you have to work incredibly fast. You have to work incredibly fast with the Charlotte Tilbury. So, I thought that I would be able to figure this one out from Oma, but it just doesn't work for my skin tone. So again, it doesn't work, but I've kept it. I don't really know why. So I still have it. I like the concept. I wish it worked for me, but it just doesn't. I want to just show you the rest of my collection briefly since, we've gone through all these. I figure why not? I have the Butter Bronzer from Physicians Formula. This is the Sunkissed bronzer. I love the way it smells. It smells like Banana Boat suntan spray. Absolutely love that. Like the old classic one that came in the like brownish bottle with the yellow spray top. My aunt always used to use that to tan at my grandparents' pool. So like that's like a childhood scent for me that I really just always remember and love. It just takes me back. So I have that one and I love it for the scent. Again, the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. I also have the Physicians Formula Organic Wear Sculpting Bronzer. This is actually a dupe for the Milk Matte Bronzer in Baked. Like this right here is the Physicians Formula and this is the Milk Baked. They are so very similar in tone, to be honest. Like it's kind of crazy to me how very similar they are. The formula of the milk is a little bit creamier and nicer. I mean, that's a little bit to be expected, but again, the shade is very similar, and as long as you like warm it up a little bit on the hand first, it applies really nicely. So I have that one as well. Then this is another one I really love. This is the Filmstar Bronze and Glow from Charlotte Tilbury. I'm in the shade Fair Medium. I didn't always love this. I didn't like this when I first got it because I felt like, oh, this is not, you know, bronzy enough. I think when I first got this, I liked my bronzer very bronzed, but this is actually like a really nice, buildable, soft bronzer that I think is really flattering if you're around my skin tone. I never use the highlight in this duo though, I will say that. The Natasha Denona Bronze Cheek Face Glow Palette. It has the cream blush, the Bounce Cream Blush that's very much like a bronzer shade for me, to be honest. And it also has the Super Glow Bronze. It's pretty nice in the summer. You have to really be wanting to look very bronzed though. So I also have that one. The Westman Atelier Contour Stick. This is a contour shade faux show. You can see there's like a good bit of gray in it. So this is definitely a contour shade, but I absolutely love this contour stick. I use this a lot when I want like an actual like very like contoured face. So really love this little guy. I also have the Kiku Sculpting Touch Creamy Stick Contour. This one is kind of similar, but the shade is just a little too warm to be a contour, so I don't super love it. It's a little too warm to be a contour, and then the shade is a little just off to be a bronzer for me, so I don't really use that one very frequently. And then last but not least, I've been using this bronzer right here. I probably should have talked about this in my everyday bronzer. I've been putting this over my Chanel cream bronzer. This is the bronzing shade from the Hourglass Ambient Light Edit, the Sculpture. Is that what it was called? Yeah, Sculpture Unlocked. This is the mini one from their holiday collection for this year. I have been loving that bronzer. I've been loving this whole mini palette actually. All right, that's it. That's my entire bronzer collection. I know this was supposed to be the bronzer tag, but it just kind of turned into a bronzer collection video. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below, are there any tag videos out there that you'd like to see me do? I love doing tags, so I'm always down for a tag recommendation. I hope to see you in my next video. Until then, you take care of yourself. Bye.